Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for the Sagittarius full moon, which is taking place today on the 4th of June. It happened earlier this morning about 4:32, so about quarter to 04:42 here in the UK. I think it took place yesterday in other parts of the world. In the US, for instance, I think you had your Sagittarius full moon on the 3rd. Big, beautiful full moon. For those who saw it yesterday, last night, it was absolutely stunning. So it took place at 13 degrees and 18 minutes. I think it is 13 degrees, 18 minutes, yeah. And it's going to be affecting those of you who have any planets or points in the degrees of 8 degrees of Sagittarius up to 18 degrees of Sagittarius, and also for those with the other mutable energies of Gemini, which is where the sun is at this time. So the full moon always happens when the moon is opposing the moon. So the sun at this time is in Gemini. And then also for any of you Virgos or Pisceans who have anything within those same degrees, 8 to 18 degrees, are also going to be experiencing this powerful energy taking place as well. So Sagittarius energy, the 9th house is where it's taken place. The themes around the 9th house are to do with higher learning, higher experience, pushing through something, expansion, philosophy, the higher knowledge, higher wisdom, higher understanding. So we've got the sun in Gemini, which is the early learning mind, the early how we kind of program our minds in a way. And then the sun in Sagittarius is where we look for new bigger expansive knowledge on the things that we are interested in, the things that we learned when we were younger in that Gemini energy. We then kind of take it to another level, we expand on it, we give ourselves more information on something. So we are dealing with the axis of information, of communication, of expansion, truth, wisdom. We're also dealing with the 9th house, the Sagittarius house, ruled by Jupiter. We are dealing with, and I have the cards up here for those who are interested. We have the moon, which is the soul. So this is the energy that we're dealing with, the collective soul energy, the collective emotional energy in Sagittarius, which is all about, it says here, I see, but I prefer to see it as I seek. Sagittarius seeks out information, it seeks out knowledge and wisdom, it wants to know more, it wants to see the bigger picture of something. Jupiter, abundance, so Jupiter is also about expansion as well. It's also good fortune and good luck, so there is always a sense of optimism with that energy as well, a sense of things improving on some level as well. And then we also have the 9th house here. It's called faith, the house of faith, but again, I don't necessarily see that so much as a house of faith, although I prefer to see Pisces as the house of faith. And the 9th house, I think, is much more about knowledge. I would call it the house of knowledge, really, rather than faith. And the last card here is the element, and so it's ruled by fire. It's the last of the fire signs. And at this time, it's making some very interesting connections with other planets and other lesser known asteroids and centers, etc., all coming into the picture around this time. So this is what I will be talking about during this reading if you're interested. Very quickly on this side, I have the Sun, which is in Gemini, which is all about communication, and also the thinking, logical mind as well. The third house is all about, well, there it says messages, but again I would say information and data. And the air element itself, which it says communication. So that's the kind of juxtaposition of the energies that we're dealing with here. So we're dealing with fire and air, which kind of like fire feeds, or air, sorry, feeds fire, so it gives it more more heat, more warmth, more. And Sagittarius is very much a kind of sociable creature as well, a creature who likes to communicate with people and to pass on their knowledge and their wisdom and understanding of what they have learnt. So we're dealing with the full moon in Sagittarius, which is, as I was saying, all about the bigger picture, looking at the bigger picture. And I think that this is really very apt at this time, is like looking beyond where we've been so far, because it's also about breaking through barriers. Sagittarius loves freedom. It doesn't want to be contained, so it's like trying to contain knowledge as well. You can't contain it. It needs to be free. It needs to be able to express. And so we also have the full moon energy here as well, which is all about surrendering to the divine, all about letting something go, releasing something, culminating. Something has come to an ending and it's time to let it go. But it's a mutable moon, and mutable energy is all about things being in flux, all about things still being nothing, as it says here, nothing is yet set in stone. So it's also about being flexible, being able to change your mind on something, being able to, when you think that something may be settled or something, you may have come to a conclusion or a decision about something, the mutable energy here is saying that you might need a rethink there as well, that it's best to be open-minded, which again is a very Sagittarian type of trait. Sagittarius does like to have that open mind, because without an open mind you can't learn, you can't go beyond where you have learned already. So these are the energies that we're dealing with at this time. And interestingly here, the card that we have, sorry about that glare from that light, I've kind of moved it a little bit, trying to work better that side. But this is Ruminate. They're very, very shiny, these cards. Very glossy. So let's see what it says about the card Ruminate here, which is like our overall energy for this particular astrological reading. So Ruminate is saying, take note of how you take on the energy around you. Do you tend to immerse yourself in unconstructive energy? Are you taking responsibility for a situation that really has nothing to do with you? Do you hold yourself in reproach for circumstances you have no control over? This might include feeling somehow responsible for inclement weather or someone else's bad mood. It makes no sense, yet you feel you played a role in it. Are you spending an unwarranted amount of time thinking about other people's situations? Self-examination is one way of identifying whether you are engaged in negative thinking. Negative thinking can manifest in harmful self-talk or viewing yourself disapprovingly. You may do this without being aware of it. It can be done through self-deprecating humour that invites others to laugh at your expense. You may put others above you. You might give a place, an opportunity, or something you rightfully earned to someone else. You may apologise constantly, which lowers your energy. It may seem that you are ashamed of your presence in certain situations. You might be addicted to negative situations or participate in gossip. Be honest as you reflect on where you may be taking on negative energy. Decide to make changes for the better. A flautist plays as her thoughts encircle her. This card depicts the thoughts and situations that are crowding your psyche. The people reflect the drama you have allowed yourself to become absorbed in. The green above and behind the flautist's head denotes an ability to heal your thoughts, which is interesting because we are talking about the axis of thinking. The Gemini Sagittarius axis here is the thoughts, the lower thoughts and the higher thinking. The birds, stars and flowers portray growth, healing, love, blessings and connection to self, which is much more that kind of Jupiter energy as well. If you find you are overthinking something, find a distraction to help you move forward. Music is a wonderful way to quiet your mind. So, ruminate, which can lead to negative thinking. It can also lead to positive ideas, positive understandings of things, like seeing things in a new light, like bursting through, as I was saying, breaking through those barriers, breaking through those restrictions that Sagittarius really doesn't like, that are put on us from a very young age, in which we tend to kind of carry with us through our lives. So let's see what we have going on in this reading for this full moon in Sagittarius. As I said, it's also about searching for truth, justice, higher learning, higher education. It's to do with universities, so we may hear quite a bit about universities at this time as well, about the education system in general, in fact. And we also have, let me just have a quick look here. The sun is sextile to Mars, and the moon is trining Mars at this time as well. So we're also dealing with more fire energy there as well, Mars being the fire sign, the ruler of Aries. Mars is in Leo at this time at 8 degrees and 21 minutes. So he's just kind of coming into that connection here, just on the very kind of outer verge. He will get stronger as he moves forward. He will make more of a stronger sextile with the sun over the coming days. So Mars can be quite difficult, argumentative energy. It can be quite self-orientated energy as well, which can be good, but it can also be an energy where you just focus only on your own needs to the detriment of everybody else. But this is also a sextile, so this is more of a, and a trine as well with the moon as well. So this is much more about realizing that you're kind of like, because it's in Leo, it's like being in the spotlight, it's like being able to relate to other people on a deeper level of understanding of like the self, the I am, and realizing that not just you, but everybody is all of that same energy. Everybody comes from that same source. The Mars energy is also, it's the like the Aries house, so it's the first house, it's the ruler of the first house, which is the baby energy. So it's like going back, if you like, to that kind of like awareness that we all start at the same place. But this is quite a fiery, again, a fiery energy that we're dealing with here. And we also have the sun and the moon a square at this time, and they're making a T-square with Saturn. So Saturn is the kind of like focal point of this Sun and Moon energy. So in many ways, again, Saturn in Pisces, it's restriction, it's like holding ourselves back. It can also be victimization as well, Saturn in Pisces. Squares are difficult. Squares are an energy of challenges, like pushing, having to push forward, and I feel that very much this Sagittarius energy is saying that. It's saying like push beyond into that place of kind of finding some peace and some tranquility, because this is also Piscean energy as well, finding the peace and the tranquility beyond the trauma, if you like, the trauma, the restrictions that are being placed on us, or wanting to be placed on us. It's like the more you fight with something, the more it will fight back with you. So it's like taking a step back rather than meeting something head on, which we're kind of wanting to do with a T-square. We're wanting to meet something with a full-on like reflective energy, if you like. It's like that energy that that person or that situation is putting you in, you're going to respond to it in the same way, when actually all you're going to end up doing is kind of keep bashing your head and getting nowhere fast, really. So the Saturn energy to me in Pisces at this time, this T-square, is kind of saying take a step back from just keep on going at things the same way. It's kind of time to look at a different perception, or see things from a different angle. Don't just keep taking the same route or the same path. Don't keep trying to go down the same road or the same status quo and expecting that things are going to change, because if you keep doing that, you're just going to keep being caught up in the same disappointment here. Mercury is conjunct Uranus. Mercury is at Mercury's at 19 degrees 33, Uranus is at 20 degrees 22. There's some interesting energies going on there as well with some of the outer planets. And so Mercury and Uranus are going to be conjunct exact in 16 hours after this full moon as well. So as I'm doing this reading now, they are getting closer and closer. Venus is she's at the very end of Cancer. So Venus is in the spot where Mars was at our previous new moon. So when we had the new moon in Taurus before this full moon in Sagittarius, which kind of everything's mixed up, so it doesn't kind of make complete sense in my head, but Venus has now moved to the 28 degrees 38 minutes, which was where Mars was previously. So Venus has now taken over the T-square energy that Mars was in previously to Jupiter and Pluto. So we've got another T-square happening at this time as well. Again, powerful energy. Jupiter, all about expansion. And of course Pluto, that Pluto energy is also about transformation and kind of letting things go, allowing things to change, endings, completions, and it's in Aquarius. It's still moving backwards. He's still heading back. He's about 0.6 degrees at this time, so he's going to be moving back into Capricorn very soon, but he's still at the very early stages of Aquarius at this time. And like I said previously, that he's still going over all of that old energy of Saturn, where Saturn was previously. So he's digging up all of that stuff that Saturn tried to lay down as enforcement on the people, on our humanity, on the restriction side of things, trying to, and it's still it's still an ongoing thing, shall we say, that it's this battle between freedom and enforcement of the freedom or censorship, and trying to stop human rights from being able to just be free to express and to live life as and how we would like to be able to do that, without all the laws and or not the laws, sorry, the regulations and the rules, very Saturn energy that surround that. So this T square is kind of focusing at this time. You've got Cancer, sorry, you've got Venus in Cancer on the very, very end of Cancer. So it's almost like that Leo energy, which is connecting with the Pluto energy. So the focus of attention is the Jupiter energy. It's the expansive energy, which is also to do, as I was saying, the Sagittarian energy of truth seeking and freedom and the right to explore mind with our minds, as well as actually physically go out and explore and to seek answers. And Jupiter is also conjunct the North Node at this time. The North Node is in fact in a lot of different connections. So she's square Venus as well as Jupiter being square Venus. The North Node is also square Mars in Leo as well. And the North Node is also square Pluto. So some really kind of tough energies that we're having. The North Node being our karmic destiny, our karmic fate. It's where we're kind of pointing our focus point at this time. The Taurian energy of having a good life, really, of being able to enjoy the pleasures of the time that we put into something. When you put yourself into something, it's the rewards in many ways of like the pleasure that you get from enjoyment, from indulgence, like from good food and good company and good good wine, all that stuff. That's very, very Taurian. It's the what we feel that we own, our possessions. And the North Node is kind of really, as she gets to the end of Taurus, which is actually the beginning of Taurus, because the North Node is always, the North and the South Node are always moving in reverse. So they go from the end of the sign to the beginning of the sign. So it's going to be moving into Aries in about July, I think it is. So not much longer. And we're going to have a whole shift of energy there as well. But coming back to Venus as well, Venus is on the, like I say, in the very edge of Cancer, the very end. So she will be moving into Leo tomorrow. And she will be making a very strong connection with this Pluto energy as well, and this Jupiter energy. So it will become a much more powerful T-square that we're going to be dealing with there. And she's also going to be in the sign of Leo for the next 5 months, because she will be retrograding through Leo. This is where she's going to be stopping and staying for the next 5 months. So really kind of highlighting the kind of pleasure side of things, the spotlight on things. Venus represents beauty and love, relationships, finances as well, because she also rules the Taurus energy, which is the second house of banking, but she also rules Libra as well. So Libra is very much about the outer relationships, the other, shall we say, whereas Taurus is much more about the self, the self-worth of an individual, how you feel you deserve, what you feel you deserve, whether you feel you deserve something. all being highlighted at this time by this North Node energy as well, and this really strong T-square. It's really kind of asking us to question ourselves as to what do we as an individual feel that we should be able to have in our lives. What do we feel that we deserve? What do we feel that we have the right to? Whereas there's a lot of constrictions being put on us at this time, and trying to take away that side of our pleasure, that side of things that give us an easy life as well, things that kind of like are just like a natural. I just think of the Taurus energy as being the natural earth, the natural nature itself, what we get from nature herself. She doesn't kind of ask us for anything in return. We can go out in the summer, the flowers are blooming, the trees are coming back to life. It's like everything is kind of a buzz with life and vitality, and I kind of feel that that's quite the Taurian energy, and it's there for the kind of taking, if you like, but it can also be abused at the same time as well. And there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes at this time which are going to be very restrictive if they manage to get through the court system that we're all having to deal with at this time as well. So so those are the kind of major energies, although I would like to just mention Black Moon Lilith again. Black Moon Lilith, it is about the kind of taboos, the shadow side of our nature that we don't necessarily want to look at this time as well. And she herself is sextile the sun, and she's trine the moon as well, so she's very close to similar energy as Mars at this time, and Mars is going to be activating this energy even more so, and really kind of focusing this Black Moon Lilith energy and putting it on center stage because it's in Leo. And Leo energy is also about the ego. It's about what people kind of, if you think of the Leo energy, the lion energy, the kind of energy of where it just expects in many ways. It's like it just sits around and expects everything to be done for it. The lion can be very lazy. It can be very kind of, I suppose, indulgent in a way as well. But it's very kind of, it's an energy that represents, if you think of kings and like in the past and history of how it was kind of like just taken for granted that was how it was because you were kind of born into that family or you were born into that situation, that position. That's the kind of energy that this Black Moon Lilith is going to really bring up to the fore, a kind of an energy of, what's the word I'm looking for? An energy of it's again, it's on the tip of my tongue. My head can't quite grasp it. Like I'm getting the word self-gratitude, but I don't think that's quite the wording that I'm thinking of. It's kind of like just expectation, just expecting things to just be the way that you want them to be. But that's kind of like with Black Moon Lilith, we're talking about disregard for anybody else's kind of emotions or feelings or yeah, just like your own selfish needs in many ways with Black Moon Lilith. It's just like she can be an energy of raw demanding, like a demanding energy, like this is how it is because I say so kind of energy. So I think we're going to kind of see this energy really play out over these coming weeks and months, especially as the North Node and the South Node are shifting as well. So the North Node, as I was saying, is going to move into the Aries energy, which is all about the self. It is all about the very kind of the needs of the individual as opposed to the needs of the collective. So this is going to be quite an interesting shift of energies there as well. And Black Moon Lilith is square to Mercury as well. So again, it's this sense of things that are like Mercury communication. Gemini, it's this sense of things that are dark, that are sinister, hearing things, like possibly covering things over as well, keeping things in the dark, things not wanting to be seen, that are going to be oppressed or suppressed as well. But we also have Black Moon Lilith square to Uranus as well. So Uranus is that shocking kind of like out of the blue, sudden, unexpected awakening energy. So there's this kind of like almost like an expectation in a way. It's kind of like we're expecting, or like maybe not expecting as such, but it is almost like we know on some level that something is happening behind the scenes, or there's a lot more going down than we're actually being given the information for, the data for us to make a fully informed decision, or like with Sagittarius energy, to fully understand the bigger picture on something, to fully have all that information. It's like Black Moon Lilith in some ways in the energy of Leo is being kept how can I put it? It's like there's a protection around that energy is probably the best way to put it. Like it's a guarded, like a guarded energy. It's like this is a long-standing belief, because we're also dealing with beliefs as well with Sagittarius. So it's like a long-standing belief system that is kind of being protected, but for all the wrong reasons. It's being protected for all the wrong reasons. And this kind of Black Moon Lilith and Uranus energy in Leo is kind of going to break it open. It's going to break it open. It's going to break through something. It's going to kind of release something out into the awareness, into the mass awareness, because it can't be held back any longer. And another reason for this as well is that there is this Chiron sextile with the sun and the moon at this time as well. Chiron's at 18 degrees, 56, 19 degrees. So Chiron is at the kind of other end of this energy, shall we say, of this sextile and this trine. The moon is going to move forward, and will make a stronger connection with Chiron as well, as will the sun, but the sun will do it more slowly over a process of days. But Chiron is that wounded healer, and this is all kind of connected here. The wounded healer, things coming out into from the subconscious into the conscious awareness. Which is going to challenge, which is going to kind of like shock the belief system. Our belief systems we're going to start having to really kind of question what's going on on a deeper level here. And another thing that's very interesting and quite relevant at this time is the moon is conjunct what's known as the great attractor. So the great attractor is this kind of, I kind of see it as a giant hoover, for want of a better expression. I've used this expression before, but basically it kind of sucks in like planets and galaxies, literally galaxies get sucked into this area of the sky, which is at 13 degrees, 14 degrees, I believe, of 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's conjunct the moon and opposing the sun here. Yeah, 14 degrees of Sagittarius. And this astrologer known as Philip Sedgwick is probably the guy who has put out the most information on this particular anomaly, as it's known as. I mean, it sucks in universes at like 600 kilometers a second. It's like, and it's like this huge, like river. It's huge. It's massive. It's so big that yeah, it just sucks in all these galaxies, and nothing can escape it. Once it's kind of like in its grasp, that's it. Its time is done, basically. And so it says here that people with point prominence, so if you've got any planets or points that are at that 13 degrees, have lives that impact the world in ways they often cannot see, far beyond their perception. So at this time, it's like the world is going to be impacted quite strongly in ways that we're not expecting. But again, I feel as though there's this kind of undercurrent going on at this time. There's like this undercurrent of like people are becoming more aware and more awake, and it's almost like we're waiting for, we don't know what, but like we know that there's shifts and changes and things are moving constantly. Nothing is ever the same from one day to the next at this time. So it also says people with it strongly placed, for example, aspecting Chiron, the sun, or an ascendant, will evoke strong opinionated responses from others, which is a typically Sagittarian trait, but amplified significantly. So there will be people who have very strong opinions themselves, but they will also evoke those strong opinions from other people as well. And it also says, I have noticed that the people who don't like them or what they stand for cannot do much about that fact. They can bark and growl, but that's about it. The great attractor puts reprisal out of reach and in a sense encourages cooperation. These are, however, subtle effects compared to when our planet and other planets align with the thing, and its effects rain down on our consciousness like they are doing now. So yeah, and it also says that this astrology is developing as the big three US automakers head to Washington, D.C. to negotiate bailout loans, suggesting that this particular meeting has bigger implications than we may be noticing. The Sagittarian theme of the conjunctions suggests that today's hearing in Washington is a global event rather than merely a national one. And of course, as I've been saying for a long time, with this Pluto return going on as well on the world stage, America is really the focus of attention. what happens in America is kind of what we're going to see reflected globally. If they fall, then the rest of the world is going to end up in a very similar situation. The Great Attractor is as dense as thousands of Milky Ways. It is the biggest thing known to science. If you're wondering about the strange sense of time compression this time of year, the Great Attractor is our prime suspect. Consider this. How long ago was Thanksgiving? It was a week ago. Well, this must have been an article from a while back. Yeah, so this was quite some time back. But there's still... it still kind of carries through to today as well, the things that are happening today politically as well, and particularly as this full moon is conjunct this particular energy. So so we're really going to experience this in quite a major way, like it was saying, opinionated. Again, the belief system, I think that really it's going to challenge our belief systems, challenge our ideas of what we believe is true and what actually is true, and how we believe we live our lives as to how we actually are living our lives. That kind of energy, it's kind of breaking through presumptions in a way as well, is kind of what I'm getting here. It's breaking through presumptions, things that we presume to be true that aren't necessarily true, but we may not have all the information to back it up. But I feel as though that's becoming a lot more readily available if people are prepared to kind of look for it as well. So we also have at this time, we've got these ongoing energies still happening with the outer asteroids and centers and the other TNOs as well, the trans-Neptunian objects, all the Kuiper Belt objects out there as well. So, oh, and before I forget, we also have at this time Neptune. Neptune is, let me just have a quick look at this. Neptune's at 27 degrees 29, so she is also at this time square with the galactic center as well. So that's another universe kind of anomaly. The galactic center, I kind of see it as like the umbilical cord, if you like, so the bigger picture, the universe, the universal energy. As a planet goes over that 27 degrees of Sagittarius, it kind of gets these upgrades, these downloads from the universe, where that connection is, the energies that are coming in, which is why things are constantly changing, because all our planets get constantly upgraded as they go around and pass over this particular 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which is where the galactic center is, which is not the same as the galactic attractor, which is also in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius has this kind of like connection, shall we say, again, that bigger picture, it's that breakthrough, it's that kind of like higher knowledge, higher wisdom. There's a reason for that, is because it's constantly pouring through in that 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So so again, kind of belief systems, and with Neptune it could be very confusing. We could like find ourselves wondering why we believed something for so long, why we believed it was the way that we thought it was. It could be very like like the unknown. We're dealing with Neptune, the unknown, the subconscious, something on a deeper level is kind of like being fired up, being kind of like, but at the same time, and this is interesting because I think that if you don't have the information, if we don't have the physical reality of something, the kind of material side of things, the evidence, shall we say, which is very Gemini, Sagittarian kind of thing, but particularly Gemini. Gemini likes to see things like in black and white. They like to see things written down, even though they know there's kind of two sides to every story. At the same time, Gemini also wants to see the data, the information, whereas and Neptune is so vague. It's so vague. It's kind of like, well, you know, it's out there. The evidence is out there, but I don't actually have it to hand at this time. And so we could also find that quite difficult, because it's like, I get this feeling of how it's going to show itself on some levels, is that it's like these upgrades, these new energies coming into the planet, but it's coming in via Neptune. So it's coming in through this very confusing, very nebulous, very kind of mystical, very kind of like mysterious energy, which doesn't really have any solidity to it. And this is going to be happening for the next 2 years. So get ready to be kind of like really questioning the belief systems that we've had on this planet, both like individual belief systems as well as belief systems that have been kind of enforced on us, or like ingrained on us for so long. There's going to be a lot over the next 2 years. There's going to be a lot of questioning. But again, because it's coming through this Neptunian energy, it could be very confusing. Like, it's intuitive. It's like trusting those intuition, that intuitive side of ourselves. And again, with Saturn there as well, because Saturn's still going to be going through Pisces for the next 18 months, possibly around about that time. He's only at 7 degrees now. He's about to station retrograde on the 17th, I think it is. Saturn 17th, yep, Saturn on the 17th. So he's beginning to slow down. He'll be slowing down very soon and getting a lot. His energy will be a lot more amplified as well. So that Saturn energy of things being very solid, because Saturn is the third Earth sign. It rules Capricorn. It rules the third Earth sign, that kind of solidity, that very kind of structured side of life. He himself is also going to be being very like, how can you put it, like less structured, for want of a better word, less kind of like solid. Saturn also rules time as well. So in Pisces, it could become very illusionary, very time could like have, like, if you think, I don't know, people who into Dali, I always often think of Saturn in Pisces, like seeing the Dali painting with all those kind of melting clocks and things. It's like, it's all illusory, and that's the kind of energy that Saturn is going to be setting up, along with this kind of Neptune energy and the galactic center for the next few years. But we also have at the same time Eris in Aries. She's at 25 degrees, so she's trining the galactic center, and she's semi-sextile to this Neptune energy as well. And Eris is all about disorder. She's all about activism. She's all about kind of like kicking over the status quo. She doesn't want to keep the status quo. She wants to get rid of the status quo completely. She's not a status quo energy. So we're going to be seeing a lot more activism as well, but it's also going to be activism in a kind of slightly different way, which is going to be more kind of tuned into our own personal belief system in many ways, tuned into what we feel and what we believe, which again could cause more problems because everybody's got different ideas, everybody's got different ways of thinking, viewing the world, understanding things. So get ready for the next 2 years of a lot more chaos, basically. And I'm also saying this because Uranus at this time of this full moon is also conjunct the energy that I spoke about previously, the Apophis energy of the serpent that used to attack the sun, which I kind of think is very symbolic of something that wants to destroy the sun god and return order to chaos, because before the sun was there, apparently things were a lot more orderly. Yeah, so it says here, Apophis has always existed and swam in the dark waters of undifferentiated chaos before the Ben, which is the primordial mound or stone, rose from them. So once creation was began, Apophis was angered because of the introduction of duality and order. Prior to creation, everything was a unified whole. But after, there were opposites such as water and light, light and dark, male and female. So Apophis became the enemy of the sun god. And Apophis was really, and it's still seen as the enemy as well. I think Apophis, being that serpent, is also kind of shown as in the Garden of Eden. It probably comes down the same kind of like storyline, because stories were always passed on from generation to generation, and there was always like bits taken out and added to other stories as well. So this could well kind of have that same connotation there as the Garden of Eden story. But basically it's also saying that before there was this division, there was this kind of unity where everything was kind of like of the same source energy. And that's interesting as well, because what we're experiencing at this time with all this kind of idea of unification and but also diversity as well. So there's kind of the more diverse side of things. Things are becoming more and more diverse. And again, I put that down to this kind of the South Node, North Node energies at this time are really kind of highlighting diversity and how things are very different between us. And yet at the same time, the Aquarian energy, which is where we're moving into, is kind of saying, but there is this unification. There is also this like the sameness, the source energy of everything. That if you break everything down, it is all just energy, and energy is all the same. There is no separation or differentiation. It is all one. But at this time, Apophis is conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is that energy of like awakening, of shocks, of kind of like upheaval, chaos. Again, it's like double chaos. It's like a double whammy of chaos that we're getting here with the Apophis energy and the Uranus energy together. So we can expect things to become a lot more chaotic over these coming weeks and months into like the next few years as well. It's like this isn't something that's just going to go away anytime soon. So again, try and kind of make sure that you have what you need at hand for possible upheavals, possible uprisings, possible kind of breakdowns of society as well, in a big scale way, because this could just happen suddenly, very fast, very unexpectedly, bolts out of the blue, Uranus energy. And also with the Sagittarius energy as well, it's like you have to break through things in order to be able to reach a new conclusion or a new idea, a new way of looking at things. You've got to be willing to kind of break through the barriers to really kind of like push through. And sometimes that has to be done in a way that is chaotic, in a way that isn't calm and orderly. So there is also that to it, that even though it may all seem as though it's kind of like crazy, chaotic, there is also, on some level, there is also a purpose behind it all as well. And I think that's kind of what this full moon energy is also implying, that there is purpose, there is kind of a reason behind it. It's not just chaos for the sake of chaos. There is an outcome to be reached, a bigger picture to be... Sorry, that's my cat just chasing flies. She goes a bit nutty. Fortunately, there's just the one of them in here at the moment, otherwise it would be really chaotic, talking of chaos. Yeah, we still have other energies as well. We've still got Make in Libra opposing Salacia in Aries, that energy of justice in Libra, and Salacia kind of bringing things up to the surface, bringing things into the light. And they are both square to Pholos still. Pholos, that energy of... that was pretty amazing, Tia. She just managed to get past all my cards without knocking them all down. That was quite incredible. Pholos, that energy of sudden death syndrome, the death of the cells syndrome. We're going to hear a lot more about all of this coming out as well. We already are, but again, it's being repressed and kept down. But again, I don't think that that's going to be for much longer. I think this full moon in Sagittarius is really going to kind of push that out into the mainstream, as much as the mainstream may not like it. And it's all going to kind of backfire as well, because we're dealing with Pholos in Capricorn. So we're dealing with an energy of it's being to do with those impositions of power, government, the top-down kind of like control system, as opposed to the bottom-up Aquarius system. And Pholos is also retrograde as well. He's gone retrograde at 8 degrees and 3 minutes. And so is Make as well. So Make is also retrograde in Libra now as well. So they're both kind of going over old ground. So they're going back across everything that they've experienced for the last few months. So they're going to go back and re-look and have a re-evaluation of the information that they've already gleaned on this kind of thing. So again, we're going to be hearing a lot more about this kind of like bioweapons and all of that kind of thing, because that is something else that Pholos also stands for as well, because it's about things that are not natural, that affect the bloodstream, because that's what happened to Pholos. That was how he died. He died from an arrow that had been put into the blood of a very poisonous, toxic creature, and the blood just killed him outright. All his cells rapidly destroyed. So again, that T-square is still taking place. It's still very powerful. Salacia is bringing all of that information up into the light. I don't think that she's gone retrograde at this time. She's at 9 degrees and 39 of Aries. So she is actually, no, sorry, Pholos is actually the focus of that point of that T-square. So all that attention is going to be put there. And he's also conjunct another energy called Qua as well. And Qua was a Native American, I can't remember exactly what part of America it was, but he was a Native American creation god as well. So we're dealing with more creation gods. Makemake is a creation god, a fertility god, as is Qua, and Qua is next to or conjunct Pholos at this time as well. Qua is at 8 degrees 10, so they are very, very strongly conjunct at this time. So this energy is really going to be, what's the word? Not exaggerated, but amplified at this time as well. And then we also have Nessos and Therius as well at 11 degrees 21, Therius of Virgo. Therius is the spy energy. I've talked about this energy before as well. The spy energy, the stalker energy, the energy of being watched constantly, being like being completely like having every movement of your life being kind of looked at and scrutinized, and not being aware that it's happening, or but this energy is going to be coming quite strongly into our awareness as well, because it is also, Therius is also square the moon and square the sun at this time as well. So we're also dealing with, again, another T-square with Therius as that focus of attention as well, because we're dealing with that mutable Virgo energy here as well. And of course, Virgo is all about the details. Virgo is all about scrutiny. So it's really, again, emphasizing, amplifying that Therius spying, kind of stalking, kind of, and we are beginning to hear more and more about how this has been going on with everybody, like how our devices listen in on us, and how nobody escapes this, whether you're a top government official or whatever, whoever you are, there is somebody spying on your life. So I think we're going to hear more about that. And Orcus at this time is also, and Orcus is the oath-keeping energy, and he's at 13 degrees and 13 minutes of Virgo as well. So he's also playing a big part in this particular full moon in Sagittarius as well, because he's also square, he's conjunct the Therius energy, but he's also square the sun and the moon at this time as well. Orcus again in Virgo. Virgo is also to do with service as well, service to others. So when you take an oath, you are pledging your service to others, and it's not something that is said to be taken lightly. And Orcus certainly did not allow that to be taken lightly, because what he would do was grab the person who broke their oath and take them down into the underworld, and he would keep them there until they realized the error of their ways, and that could take lifetimes, but he would make them become aware of how important your word is. If you give your word, you keep your word. If you take an oath, you keep that oath. You don't take that situation lightly. And so with kind of Therius and Orcus conjunct each other, there's a really interesting energy kind of building up here, both square, the sun and the moon. Sagittarius, full moon, all about justice and freedom and the law as well, also about the law, kind of like making sure the law is fair, because the Sagittarius energy would be the writer of the laws, because they were into kind of the philosophy and seeing things on a higher scale, a higher level. So their lawmaking originally would have been something that came from a higher ideal. Why have that law? And at this time we are really kind of being shown that there is this this system that is not fair, is not, I'm just watching my cat, sorry about that, that is not fair, it's not what's the word, equal. It's not an equal system, which is what we're being shown. And a two-tiered justice system, we are really kind of seeing that coming to light more and more, particularly again in the United States at this time. This is really kind of playing out strongly on the world stage in the United States. More and more people again waking up to this information. Then we have Sedna at 29 degrees of Taurus. She's also sextile the Venus energy as well. So the Venus and Sedna energy, Venus in Cancer. Venus likes being in Cancer. Cancer is very comforting for Venus. She feels good. She feels like she can express herself very easily in Cancer. But she is about to just move into Leo, which is not as easy an energy for Venus. Venus does much better in earth and water signs than she does in fire or air signs. Similar to the moon as well. The moon doesn't do as well in fire signs and air signs as she does in water and earth signs. So Sedna is also sextile to Neptune as well. So again, there's this kind of like, again, this mystery, this kind of like breaking down of things, because Sedna is all about kind of breaking down, breaking free, kind of getting back to source energy, but in a way that is kind of forced in on her, rather than it being a willing choice originally. It was something that was forced, a situation she was forced into, but she found the best in that situation. Even though it wasn't a good situation that she found herself in, she overcame the hardship of that. She overcame the blame and the anger and all the kind of negative feelings that could have kept her trapped. She managed to release them, and Neptune kind of is helping with that as well. So there's a kind of like symmetry there in a way between those energies. The Sedna and Neptune energies there, both about releasing, letting things go. And the Venus energy in Cancer as well. Cancer being the sign of the mother, the feminine. These are all very feminine energies we're dealing with, apart from like Neptune, not so much. Although Pisces is a feminine energy because it's a water energy, and all the water energies are feminine energies. The earth energies are feminine energies. So we're dealing with feminine energy. I always see Neptune as being the kind of the feminine within the masculine. It's a very kind of like softer masculine energy is how I've always seen Neptune. Because it is to do with intuition and inner knowing, which are much more watery, feminine type of energies. So we're dealing with emotions here as well. Venus kind of like to do with love, relationships, emotions. So there's this sense of having to kind of release something at this time, like really let something go, and not hold on to what could be seen as difficulties, or again those more negative emotions. It's like going beyond, deeper down into something. And again, this is to do with the feminine, so it could also be to do with kind of really digging down deeper into the female energy itself. There's this big kind of question mark at this time around the whole feminine side of things. The energy around women is very, very strongly being played out here, and women are starting to kind of like come back to question what it is that is going on, because for a long time it's just been allowed to happen. But there's also women now who are kind of waking up and becoming groups of mothers who are standing up for their children, which is very much Cancer energy as well. Protection, security, keeping things safe, particularly in the home, the emotional roots, the love of the mother, the protection of the mother. So yeah, I talked about Apophis. It's also conjunct Mercury as well. So again, I feel that this Mercury is going to be expressing things in a way that could possibly make things seem worse than they are on some level as well, with Apophis and Uranus there. Both, like Apophis and Uranus, are both very larger than life kind of energies there. So, and Mercury is just kind of small, and but it is the messenger. So there could also be some maybe trickster energy there as well, maybe to do with how we come across, or what we say to somebody, like actually say what we mean and mean what we say. Because we've also got Medusa at 03 degrees 27 of Taurus as well, and she's conjunct that Jupiter energy, which is also conjunct the South Node energy. And Medusa, of course, was the Gorgon poison-headed snake as well. So she's kind of like, that energy again is being, with Jupiter there, Jupiter being the magnifier, the amplifier, makes things bigger, Jupiter also has a tendency sometimes to promise more than it can actually fulfill as well. So you may feel as though something is going to be really, really positive, or really, really good, or really productive, or but there may be an element of biting off more than you can actually handle as well, with this Medusa energy there, and the South Node as well. So again, maybe kind of just don't overdo something, don't exaggerate something, don't make something out to be more than it actually is with this energy. And I think that's probably I've got this little note up here which I know is to do with the average content of the body of water, of like how much water is in our bodies. And I'm not sure why it is that I wrote that down, but I've written it down for a reason. But I can't think for the life of me what that would be, so I'm probably going to have to just leave it there. What else? Yeah, Cancer. Sorry, Venus in Cancer moving into Leo tomorrow. So that's going to change the Venus energy. Fire energy, desire, yeah, Venus could become more like you might want to splash out on things that you maybe shouldn't splash out on at this time as well, because there's going to be a sense of like possibly really wanting something, really needing something, like something that you feel as though you couldn't, that your life won't be complete if you don't have it as well. So there's a sense of kind of holding back possibly on that energy at this time as well. What else? I think I've covered just about everything that I can think of. Again, I don't remember why I wrote that. I really do need to start putting down more information, and rather than just some random note that actually doesn't mean much at all. So yeah, I'm going to finish that part of the reading there and just pull a couple of cards to finish off and see what the energy is for us at this time. So these cards are the Angel Guide cards. And we've got Blessings and Abundance, which is very Jupiter energy. Very Jupiter Sagittarius energy. So let's see. Blessings and Abundance. What you would like to say at this time. Page 24. Blessings and abundance. A light of blessings and abundance is being wrapped around you now, and your angels want you to know that they are supporting you. They are encouraging you to trust in your intuition and any other guidance you are receiving at this time, as it will lead you toward tremendous growth and fulfillment. Many blessings, are being showered upon your present situation. If you have not yet experienced them, know that they will be revealed and shared in the perfect time, space, sequence. All the doors to abundance are now being opened to you. Angel wisdom is encouraging you to begin counting your blessings, then you will be open to receiving even more of them. So that's quite an interesting message. The Sagittarius energy, Jupiter energy, blessings, good fortune, good luck. And there's nothing wrong, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be believing in that as a potential, and that it is something that is possible. But Jupiter can sometimes disappoint on the deliverance of something, which again is a message or a lesson in itself as well, as in, like, you know, our expectations, what we get, maybe is what we need at that time rather than something excessive. Just a thought. Just a thought there. So because we all want more, But then if you think of like sometimes when you eat a really big meal, you want it like because it's so delicious and you just want to eat so much of it, and then afterwards you just feel like that you've overdone it and you're just bloated and you're just feeling ill from having eaten too much or indulged too much in something. So we've got two crystal angel cards here. We have lapis lazuli, which is talking about life-changing epiphany or experience, and says it's a time of big and blessed change for you, and God is supporting you each step of the way. And of course, God, source, however it is that you prefer to see that energy. And smoky quartz, so clearing negativity. Release negativity from within or around you. Another very beautiful card. So you might want to work with these two crystals as well. Lapis lazuli, life-changing epiphany or experience. That could also have something to do with the Jupiter energy as well as the Uranus energy, and clearing negativity. Smoky quartz for clearing negativity, which may be very relevant with all this Black Moon Lilith energy that we're going to be experiencing as well over these coming weeks. And of course, Venus is also going to be connecting with Black Moon Lilith as well. So we're going to see the kind of darker side of the feminine energy as well, which isn't necessarily a pleasant experience. So on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you and say thank you very much for taking the time to come and watch my videos. Please, if you haven't already thumbs my videos up, please could you do that? It makes a big difference. The more likes I get, the more attention the platform which I'm on is going to see people actually connecting with my videos, my message, and actually kind of pay my channel more attention as well. So subscribe as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. The more subscribers I get, the better it is, again, to help grow my channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please also do that as well. Like, subscribe, and comment as well. If you leave a comment, just anything like a emoji of some kind, just to have some interaction so that people know what's going on. And if you want to actually leave me a comment and let me know how you feel about these readings as well, that would really help me as well, and not just the platform, but me personally, as to what it is that you're thinking about my intuitive channeling for the astrology. So I'm going to leave it there. Before I go, if you're interested in the astrology, there will be a link for you in the description box down below for you to go and check that out for yourself. So you just need your birth date, your time, and your place, and then you can have a look at the astrology and see how it affects you on a more personal level as well. And I think that's everything. I can't think of anything else. Thank you again, and hopefully I will see you all again next time. In the meantime, please take really good care of yourselves and anybody else around you who you can.